Hello everyone, welcome to today's panel discussion. My name is Anak Malwal, the moderator for today's panel discussion on the impact of fossil fuels on human life, on the environment we live in, and on the societies around us. Today we are going to majorly talk about what dangers do these fossil fuels or the fuel comes, what dangers do they bring into the society, to the human life, to the environment, and also we also look into the communities and health-wise. With me today, I have beautiful guests or beautiful panelists who are going to talk about these impacts on their fields of expertise. They will be going into depth details. They'll explain to us, and I urge you to be here to listen keenly and see what can we do to, to come up with solutions to these problems that we face in the environment, human life, and also the societies we live in. I would love to begin with our first expertise on my right hand side, and let her introduce herself to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Anak. My name is Ayom Garang. I am the CEO of City Tires Company. We deal with production of tires, and I'm happy to join you today for this panel discussion.
Thank you so much, Siana. My name is Julia. I'm advocate of this program, this debate. I'm talking about technology change and captaining of the climate change in fuel.
Yeah, thank you, moderator. Professor Santino Ding. I'm a senior government for this discussion. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you, moderator. Ladies and gentlemen, so my name is Asunta Agwet. I'm the doctor.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, call me Alfred Aleu, a journalist focusing on climate change and effects of fuel gas in the areas of different states. Thank you.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'll introduce myself. I'm by name Achana Nyon, and I'm focusing with environmentalists on this issue.
Okay, thank you so much. You've heard from our panelists, you've known their fields of expertise, and they are going to be telling us from what they focus on, what are the impacts of gas or the impacts of fuel in their own, what they specialize in. I would love to begin with the first panelist, who is a senior journalist. He reports on issues to do with climate. Mr. Aleu, as if our main focus today is on the impacts that this natural gas brings to the environment. You've been covering stories to do with climate change, on the environment, human life. So as a journalist, what are the impacts that this natural gas bring to the human life and to the environment as well?
Okay, thank you once more, moderator and Abdul. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you're mostly welcome in this panel discussion. Basically, on the topic that you have given us today to talk about the impact of climate change. Yes, indeed, particularly in our country, South Sudan, even if we are not that too much being affected by the climate change, but there are some parts of the country that have been affected by the climate change. To make it brief for you, a climate change sometimes refers to the long-term shifts of temperatures and weather patterns. And we believe like the shift can be natural and sometimes can be man-made. But since, to take you back, they said like in 1880s, human activities had been the main climate change factors. What it means is human activities start with the primary levels like the gas, the use of generators, the usage of other machines that can produce pollution here in the environment. So those 1880s, those were the time that climate changes were being caused by the humans. And when we come to the recent days, climate change had been caused by both the natural disasters and also the human activities. The climate change is also affecting the earth oceans. In which way? With the levels of carbons, the carbon that we breathe in, it keep increasing, and sometimes it causes the ocean acidations. What it means by the ocean acidation is a warming or harming marine ecosystem, and those harming system in the water because when the ocean get acidic, like when the gas or the oil or the crude oil get into access to go to the water gets polluted, and also the fishes and other aquatic animals inside the environment will be affected. Now, coming to the base of on the point of South Sudan, there's one of my senior journalists have reported this year in BBC Africa Eye. They said like South Sudan is the youngest country in the world, and it has been faced by the climate change. And this climate change is in the part of a unity state. Unity state is one of the countries that is leading in oil production, and where it has really affected the people, the vulnerable people living there, with changes in the climate. When it comes to the dry season, the environment will change into drought. People will be lacking water. And that when people are lacking water, people will just be going looking for water in all the holes, the small pools around. And when they get that water will not be safe. That water is also mixed with the oil gas and also some dirty stuffs. And when they take them, it have chemicals. And that's why you see basically the children that are born, sorry to say that, the children that are born in that area, in basically Unity State and some part of Malut, some part of Ruwing, they are not born like naturally. Some are being born with disabilities, and some are being born with a lot of stuff. And what causes that is because the government is not taking good care. The government is not making a good care of how to dig out or how to manufacture the oil in that country. In that state. Therefore, in that areas, it needs a serious government intervention. In which way, government have to set a ways that how the oil can be extracted from the ground, and how like the oil can be not making any effect to the people, and also basically how oil is not going to make climate change to the people. Now, when it comes to the areas, like when it comes to this rainy season, the rainy season also have some effects into the climate. When that rainy season comes, the oil in the ground will be mixed together with the water, and when it is mixed together with the water, that water will come into the swampy areas, whereby it will come and get aquatic animals. What we mean by the aquatic animals, you know them, like the fish and the animals that live inside that water. And when it causes that, it also causes like a hard life for those kind of animals to live in that area. And when that happens, also the people will start immigrating. And during the dry season, it will open the ways, like there might be holes, and there'll be a way that when it rains, the water will just flow. And when the water flow, people will be forced to migrate from that area because of what? Of that usage of fossils and fuel and gases. Now, when I said before, that is in the context of the country, and also in the country like of South Sudan. And we said last year, 3 years ago, in 2019, they said like the country has been, the state, that Unity State, have been in the extreme what? In the extreme chemical affecting, really, because it has a lot of diluted and some equated bleaches having such kind of oil. Like I mentioned before, like the areas like Malut and Paloch, they are having oil sometimes, and some parts of Ruwing, that is Ruwing administrative area, and all those areas, they have been affected seriously by this oil gas. And when there is oil, like example, when we come to the month of January, February, March, you go to that kind of areas, you'll never even see a single water or a single place that people can get water. So it means that is causing a climate change, and it's very hard for rain to rain in that place until maybe in the middle of the year, that is maybe in July or August there. That's when it will start raining and the flooding will be there. So in 2022, it was at the worst point that the Unity State, 2/3 of people were being submerged according to the UN World Food Program. 2/3 mean at least it is almost half of the people living in that area. They have been given emergency for forced migration to leave the area because of such kind of things. You get? So when that people being migrated, it also caused to a lot of downfall to the country. People being starving with hunger, lack of job, and all these kind of things. Therefore, as a person, as a journalist that have gone through all these kind of things, I say, the misuse of fossil fuels like gas and another oil in the ground, they can cause a lot of harms to the life of the citizen, and that's what we are facing currently in this country. Now, coming to my points of argument, I can say like the level of carbon the level of carbon dioxide that people breathe in have been raising almost 50%, not inside the country, but outside the country, in the whole globally. It has also risen since the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, with most of the increase occurring since the 20th century. Since I said it earlier, like those days back in the 18th, the climate change was caused by the humans usage, but now it has increased a lot because people have left the usage of solar energy gas house, and people have gone to generators, using of generators and some gas fuel, whereby if you go by example, now you go by to the main towns here, example is the jetco is not using solar energy.
Yeah.
Jetco is using, how do you call it? Just jetco is using gas, and that fuel that you are seeing, it can pollute the environment, and when it pollute the environment, when it pollute the environment, what will happen? It will make people the life to be so hard. You get it?
Yeah.
The oxygen that people are getting, like the oxygen like the we are breathing in, it will be too hard for us to get that. Therefore, the level of carbon dioxide is increasing 50% daily. Again, the rise of carbon levels are closely related to the issues of fuel for energy production and transportation, which increased dramatically since the Industrial Revolution. What I mean by that point is that the transportation we use nowadays, we don't use a solar energy transport. We use everything that is causing fuels and all these kind of things. The vans that we use, the vehicles, the trains, all of them, they use fuels. And that fuel, where that air goes, the air goes into the go and mix the oxygen, and when the mix, it will also give effects to the change of the climate.
Yes.
And as we know, the change of climate comes when there is too much air pollution in the air. Therefore, the climate will start changing. Recently, the scientists confirmed, like South Sudan is going to be facing the northern part of South Sudan. It is basically the desert. Why? Because the climate change is coming slowly by slowly. But now, particularly, we are in Central Equatoria, and in Central Equatoria, those in like 19th centuries back, people believe it's one of the most good region in South Sudan because it has a tropical rainforest, and that tropical rainforest, it comes regularly. But now, since the desert area has increased daily, we are seeing now the changes are occurring. Like by this, like 5 years ago, by this time, still there must be too much rain. In January there is rain, April there is rain. But now we are experiencing the climate change into the desert area. And these are all been caused by the effects of usage of fuels when they have not been used well. Now, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change body says, like, it has stated that the human activities are the primary cause of global warming, and they limited global warming into 1.50. Therefore, I can say there are a lot I can say about this climate change, because it has really affected the life of people into the context, like people being born with disabilities, people been having a lot of heart problems because of this poor usage of fuels and other oil and gas in the country. I beg to raise my case here. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, senior journalist Alfred Aleo. He talked of a number of things, number of impacts of climate change on the environment, and he touched a lot of areas. What I picked is that the government has to look into these issues as on how this fossil should be extracted to avoid the climate changes, the impacts that it brings on the human life and also the environment. I would also love to hear from an environment analyst, Ms. Achan. If you can also tell us what impacts, as an environment analyst, what are the impacts that this fossil or natural gas brings to the environment?
Thank you, Ms. Anak. As an environmentalist, I believe sources of fuels, it's really contributed to the climate change. And not only climate change, also is contributing to harm to human beings that are living in the environment. So I will go to this, I'll talk of air pollution. Air pollution of fossil fuels, it affects a lot of people. As one of my colleagues talked about, journalists, it's really affect the environment and atmosphere. For example, like Upper Nile 2022, and I think every year it's happened, but especially 2022, a lot of people have been affected, like children, unborn children, they can be infected inside their mother womb. Some children, when the mother is giving birth to them, they can be born while they have eye problem. Some of them, they're having rashes on them. And it's these pollutions that happened within society or that happen within the environment. Because when the mother is breathing, I think the child also inside will take the same breathing. And it's caused them a lot of things. It's happened also like fishes. When I talk of fish, when people go for fishing, they'll remove the fish while they are having some wound on them, and that thing cannot be eaten. When you remove something from the river and they have a wound on them, it might also affect the people that are living in that environment, which cause a lot to a humans and to the atmosphere. Uh, Also, there is deforestation and land use. This, it's really caused because when deforestation, what I know was when they cut down the trees and then they burn them. So that burn also causes a lot to the environment. It's reduced deforestation, fuels, forces leads to the deforestation and climate change in land use, which further contribute to the climate change, reducing the number of the trees. When they cut down the trees, it's really bring the effect because trees can help in environment with a lot of things. But when they cut them down and they also burn them, that fuels it's also cost to the people in the environment.
Yes.
And I also would talk of greenhouse gas. These fossil fuels, it's released
Scientific.
scientific amounts of carbon dioxide and mercury where it's burned, and this tricks in atmosphere leading to the global. These things also it affect the people into the global. It causes the warm because when they burn every grass around in the environment or in the country where people are living, that warmth or that weather, because when they are burning, of course, there's a weather that happened. And I will talk like particularly right now in South Sudan, when they are burning the bush, it affect the people around the area, and the same hair, it's move around. So it also affect the people around. And that's why I say that fossil fuels is really contributing to the climate change. Like what happened some month back, where the environment totally changed. We are really experience the hotness around the city, and until even it affecting the children. Some children got affected in their schools, others got affected in their workplace. I'm talking of big people there. They got that. So until the government came with the decisions of saying that people must go for the holiday, and this is because of burning around the bushes, cutting down the trees, and it's the one who caused this. If they did not do that, I believe that such a thing will not happen. And that's why I say that these fossil fuels, it's really contributing to the climate change. I will talk of ocean acidification. Ocean acidification, it releases water levels from the fossil fuels, lead to the highest of carbon dioxide acids in oceans. I'll talk of like, especially in South Sudan here, we really have minerals, we have gold, and then we have fuels in some areas. And this also affects the environment. When I'm saying that it affects the environment, it's like when we talk the mermaid life in rivers or oceans, we have animals that live in that place. And when we release the acids into oceans, it affects a lot the mammals' life in river there. And also it affects people like in water drinking, because as human beings, we only get our water in rivers or oceans. This is where we get the water from. And when we are taking it, it's not healthy for our life, and it's not also healthy for our domestic work. And that's why I say that it's really contributing a lot into the environment change. Uh, I think these are the points that I can believe, and I accept it indeed that these things are really contributing into the environment change. I agree with this.
Thank you, Achan, for those remarks we've picked. That she talked of deforestation, the global warming that we all saw if you're in South Sudan, and she also talked of a lot of issues that climate change brings as a result, or it brings to the environment. Let's also hear from our lawyer, the defense lawyer, on climate change. What are the impacts as a lawyer? What impacts on your point of view, what do you think are the impacts of climate change on the environment and human life?
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Nagbet. I'm Julia Agwok. I'm an advocate of this program. As I'm talking about the natural climate change, like those of climate change, some people use artificial like technology more than natural thing. Like some the cutting down of tree or cultivating. Some people they do not cultivate; they use a machine for cultivation. The cause of land erosion when the people cultivate seed, and this machine will cause soil erosion. This cause of what? This cause of climate change in natural climate, uh, in fell field climate change, like using of technology. Too much use of technology when the people use like generator or pollution, air change, airborne air pollution, like cause out disease, outbreak disease. They will cause people like this like migration of people to another place, and the place will remain empty. And first, cut down this procession, like planting of tree. Some people they use to cut tree with a machine, which will not let another tree, they cause they remove down the root of the tree, which cause the soil erosion. Even the tree, the root of tree, the tree will not germinate again to another tree. These are cause of climate change. Thank you for that.
Okay, thank you so much, Advocate Agwek. You've heard from her. She talked of soil erosion on the part of lawyers. She spoke on soil erosion, deforestation, as we've all heard from the others. Also love to get views from our CEO, Ayom Garang, the CEO of City Tires. Would love also for her to share with us some of the impacts of fossil fuels on climate change. As a CEO, you know fossil fuels have a lot of impacts. So, what are some of these impacts on the environment and human life?
Thank you once again. My name is Ayom Garang, and the impacts of the fossil fuels on my side, one of them is lack of political support. The situation may not have the necessary support from the government and the other business to be implemented. For example, my company, it's a private company. We may not have the funds from the government to support our company. This is one of the effects of the fossil fuels. The second one is loss of jobs. This shift away from the fossil fuels could lead to loss of jobs in oil and gas industry, which could have negative impact on the economic. The other point is increased costs. Solar energy may become less valued with fossil fuels if energy prices rise due to carbon pricing. This could lead to reduced demand of solar energy and impact of the profitable solar energy. To conclude, the other point is technology limitations. The proposed situation may adequately address the technology limitation of renewable energy sources, such as a nature of wind and solar power. The last point, disruption of existing infrastructure. This shift of renewable energy could disrupt the existing energy infrastructure, which may have requirements investment to upgrade.
Oh, thank you so much. I think the government also need to look into these private sectors or the private-owned companies. As she talked about lack of support from the government, also, at times needs to this climate change as they try to also, navigate to get to do what they can so that they also earn for themselves. Let's also hear from a doctor, from Dr. Agwet. Yes, let's also hear from her what are the impacts of climate change on the environment and human life.
Thank you so much, moderator and my colleagues. So, as a doctor, it really affects the climate change. It really affects the human life and all other living things. So, according to my point, is you see these carbon dioxide fields. So, such as wood, coal, and petroleum release unburnt carbon dioxide carbon particles into the environment. And those particles, they are very dangerous to the human life. So they can cause diseases like asthma. Also, they can cause other diseases like liver cancer. They can cause others like those of heart diseases. So these things, they come to our life through the climate change. So from there, so when we are burning everything, so this smoke, when you are breathing, you breathe in all the smoke and all poisons that you are breathing, you take them in, so they can cause the life of ever living things. So the second is when fuels are incompleted burnt, they release carbon gas into the atmosphere, and this gases is very dangerous and it is very poison. When you burn everything around the house and the people that are living there and the machine or factories that are very near to that person, so it affects the living of that person. The fossil fuels also release a large amount of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. So this carbon dioxide can cause greenhouse gases, which is responsible for the global warming. So these things can cause the global warming. So global warming is also rise in the overall temperature of the earth in surface. This lead to the melting of polar cap and a rise into the sea level and further results in flooding of coastal regions. So the burning of the coals and diesels release a gas called sulfur dioxide. This gas is very dangerous to us. So this gas, when we are releasing that gas, so it affects the human being, it affects all the areas which are around us. So my point is that these fuels, they affect the living of every life, animals, people, children. So these things, so these are my points, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Agwet, for she really talked about a lot the diseases that come as a result of climate change or the impact of climate change on human life. So I would also love to hear from, we also have the government. So we have a senior government official, Deng Santino. Would also love to hear from you, as we've heard from the doctors, we've heard from the lawyers, we've heard from private companies like the city tires. So would also love to hear from you as a government official. What are the impacts of climate change on human life and also the environment?
Yeah, thank you so much, moderator. So it is a good point. but I'm opposing that point. So I can mention more than 3 natural disasters who have been God created. We have one is earthquake, 2 is hurricanes, 3 is like volcanic. These are the man that God made. So those things have been existing in this world. Yeah, and when we go back to our topic as visual fuels affecting the environment. So, for example, now in Western world, the number of international companies that are now in U.S., America, U.S. I mean China and Russians. Why I'm saying that as a government, we have controls of those things. So when we come to South Sudan, as I'm here now, so like oil field, like what my brother mentioned, the journalist Leo. So God, is still creating people like till now. So when he said that children was born without leg, eyes, that thing was been there since God created people. Like when you go to Yambio, you find those people who are now there. There are no eyes, there are no legs. The people that are born blind. So I don't think that is natural gas. Yeah, they are not there. So these are God created that will be existing. So coming to has government policy, we have policy in the oil field. That we are saying the where there is oil field, we must to chase people away. We are must given 25 mile away from oil field. We mean that place for the production place. We don't need people, people and also with the animals. So that one we said, we've been just prioritize that to them. Those who are now in oil field. But no, when people said, they said no, we are here. This is our land. But their land, there is something was been produced in their land. But when we say that we need to protect this civilian, we didn't like those people, but we like them. That one we said them, you must be away of 25 mile away from this oil field. So because we know there's a lot of chemicals we have been produced there. See? So when we come to point number 11, that there is a lot of disasters. There are a lot of God created, like rainfall was been there since God created us. When the rain this year, seriously, because God need to see maybe that there is a hunger in that nation. Yeah? And environment, a different environment in the world, like Africa here. When we say that was North Africa, we have 2 seasons in a year. So rain is rain 2 times a year, like Egypt, Algeria, Libya, and also West Africa, like Senegal. So we don't have rain. So when the rain rains seriously, maybe that it will spend a lot of days without raining. It may be just need to focus on that. Need to just to fill the gap was been spending for 6 months or 10 months. That we say even Sudan, currently Sudan will not rain. When the rain recently, that's why we say that the flooding. Example, Libya, the rain there, it will just killing a lot of people. But it's the rain, it's God created. Not like us, not like companies, what our brother mentioned or environmentalists mentioned, not like that. So what I know is international, there are God created justice were there. So I will not be far from that. So as a government, we have policy for people to be protected, as we are loving our people, not to be harmed by natural gases like that. So that one we say we have policy that we can say them, we can even now when you go to Florida now we have a very nice place we build for people who are now around oil field to be protected away from the oil field because we love them, they're our people. When you go to Ruweng State or Unity, so we have such a thing. We have their own places. So apart from oil field, see, we don't need our people to be died not like that, like animals.
Yes.
So that is my point for this discussion as a government official.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Santino, you've heard from him. He talked of a lot of issues. He also talked of government having policies that protects the people, whereby they are not allowed to live close to the oil fields or the places where we carry out this oil, oil extractions. We have panelists who discuss of from their own different perspectives of how they think the environment impacts and how also it affects the human life. Okay, a senior journalist, Mr. Aleu, I would love you to also share with us when was the last time, as you going to also, we are coming to an end of this, when was the last time you reported on issues to do with climate change as a senior journalist? And also in your last remark, as you conclude as well, what message do you have for the audience, for the government, or maybe people who are practicing the deforestation that also leads to climate change?
Okay, thank you, moderator, once again. Ladies and gentlemen, as she asked me when was the last time, I can simply answer you the last time was last month, that is November. That's when I went to that side of Unity State. And to my experience, it is still that too hard, and it really need the government to work much on providing the basic needs, especially the hospitals and the good water to the people living in that area. So to my conclusion or to my recommendations, I'm expecting the government plus the other people well wishers to at least we will use what is called transition to renewable energy. Renewable energy like the use of solar system, whereby it is the best thing that can be able to reduce this climate change on the gas. And also I can also ask the government also to give like reforestation. People have to plant again. Like in Juba, I remember last year, the former Juba town mayor planted to make a plantation in the town, putting the trees, all this kind. You see, that thing I also recommended that like government should do that. Also, the government should food sustainable agriculture, because when there is a sustainable agriculture, it will reduce the usage of chemical fertilizers. These chemical fertilizers, people will go and look for chemical fertilizers to come and use them in agriculture, and that will make it very hard for people to live inside kind of areas and for crops also to adapt into that. Into my conclusion, I may say last year 2020 in 2022 there was a global warming summit about the climate change in Paris, whereby almost 196 countries also agreed to sign to some things that need to be done on the green energy. And also in 2022 in November in Kenya, Nairobi, the people across the country, across the global, came together for the summit of the climate. So I'm asking our government and the people so that the people can come together and put their hand to the green energy. A green energy could be the way forward for us to make life easy for people, the people living inside kind of areas and the people also which are not living there. So I'm saying, when we come together and we focus on green energy, buying or use of solars, enough solars, and think the life will be easy and the climate will go back to where it was, whereby people will be living in the degrees of 1.6 degrees Celsius or 1 point something. Therefore, the life will be normal. But as we speak, even you can see in my face, there is a too much heat, which is caused by such kind of thing. So, to my conclusion, I would like to say I appreciate you for hosting me in this panel discussion, and also I would like to say I look forward into the solutions that I've given for the government to do something about that. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, our senior journalist, Aleu. Also love to hear from the environmental analyst, Chan. As we've all seen, the environment is the most affected area, or it is the one that is mostly affected by climate change or fuel. So what do you want the government to do in regard to this? And as you also conclude, you also give us your recommendations.
Thank you, Ms. Anat. As environmentalists, we know that environment is the most important place or a safe place for human beings or a living things to live in. And environment, when I talk of environment, that there are the fossil fuels is really contributing to climate change or atmosphere. What I want for the government to do, as my colleagues talk about of solar energy, I believe that things will also serve people life and any living thing that live in the environment. It will really help and also a government should look forward how to control deforestation, how to control fuels that people use. I will talk of machines, because right now people are using a lot of machines. It's not like before. Long ago, it's rare to find people are using machines. But right now, you find everything is all about machines. You find people are cultivating with machines. You find people are using power with machines. You find people are cooking with machines. You know, everything right now, it's becoming all about machine and machine. It's becoming all about this. And this thing is causing a lot to the environment or atmosphere, because when we use machines, machine get a hit. Because like I'll talk of generator. When people are using generator, there's a heat that's come out from there. Not only generator, even when you're cultivating. And this heat, it affects the environment or atmosphere, which is not healthy for human living or any living things. So I want government at least to have to control. Though I know that there's a way that the government can control, like when we talk of fuels that are affecting the people in Malut, Upper Niles, government should come out in a way that they can control it, because it can be controlled. And if they do not do that, it will affect people's lives. So, and also government should come out to support those people, because those people are really in need. They need help. They need hospital. They need good health. They need good food in that area. And if there's no support on them, it will really affect them. And that's why I say that. That's why I say that it's really contributing to the environment. To my conclusion to this, I want also, because if the government hand is not there, also as human beings are living to that environment, at least when we see this environment, it's hard on us, at least we try in another place to do migrations, and we leave the place that is affecting us. If there's no one to support us, it's better for us to support ourselves. Instead, we depend on government, and the government is not doing anything. So I'm telling to my people that are living in that environment that is really causing for them condition in living, or condition what they're eating or something like that. My advice to them, it's better for us to migrate and look for a place that at least will give us a healthy life. Instead, we'll be in a life that will lose our life and will lose our children's, and which will cost a lot to us. I think this will be my last remark. That I would say to public outside there, if you're living in such area that you have been affected and there's no hope, or there's no anyone helping you, or you have no any backbone, you better to migrate by your own.
We've heard from her. We've heard what the government needs to, what they need as the environment analyst, what government should do for them. As an advocate, what plans do you have for the people that are practicing this deforestation that leads to climate change or affects the climate, or these people that have practices that also lead to changes in the climate? What plans do you have for them?
Thank you so much. As an advocate, found such a people who practice such a thing of climate change, should those who do not follow the rule set by the law should be taken to the jail or should be punished.
Okay.
Because practice of climate change, it will cause a lot of things. Thank you.
All right. Advocates say they will be suing those who do not follow the law. What are your last remarks as we conclude?
My last mark to follow the rule of law, how to prevent the practice of climate change. Thing are going to change the climate.
Okay, follow the rule of the law. You'll be sued if you do not follow the laws that are set by the lawyers. Also love to hear from the CEO of City Tires. What do you want as a private company? What do you want the government, to do as to reduce these risks of climate change that is caused by different issues? What do you want the government to do? And as you also conclude, you can give us your last remarks.
Okay, thank you. For us, the private sector, as we insist that we will not shift away from the fuel forces locations like Poloch and others, what I asked the government is to provide for us materials like eyeglass and then some masks that will cover the nose from inhaling that air that will affect someone. Because now if we desire to shift away from the place where we are right now, it will cause us a lot. As I said before, we lack fundings from the government. So I just urge the government to provide for us some equipment that will support the health system instead of us shifting away from that place.
Okay, thank you so much. What are your last remarks?
My last remarks is I call on the government to support the private sectors that are operating without support from the government. As I said before, we are lacking fundings from the government. That's what I would say.
All right, thank you so much, the CEO of City Tires. I would also love to hear from Dr. Agwet. You've talked earlier about on a lot of issues that that comes as an effect of this natural gas fuel. So, as a doctor, what what do you recommend for the public out there to do to reduce these risks of these diseases? Yes. As you also conclude, you also give us your last remarks.
Okay, thank you so much, moderator and my colleagues. So my message is it is very important to recognize the climate change and the public health. So you need to do your things as a climate, and also you think of others' life. Like now, this life is full of machines nowadays. So people are using everything. No use of hand nowadays. People are cultivating by machines. People, even for us as women, we also cook from machines. So it is important to connect your life with what you are doing. So do all these things and you connect it with your life. So to my conclusion, it is going direct to the government. As long now we are using everything, we are going to. I request you to give us the enough equipment for the hospitals. So also the drugs, and for those diseases that don't have drugs, so support us also to, for those who are doing medicine, to go and look for the medicines that can support the life. So this is my conclusion. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Agwet. I think the government is really listening keenly to this, to these arguments. I would also love to our last panelist, the senior government official. As the government, what are you doing to reduce these risks? Because everything requires the intervention of the government. What are you doing as the government to reduce this risk of, the pollution of the environment, on health, human life, everything? What is the government doing? And as you also give us what you guys are doing, the government is doing, you can also give us the conclusions, your last remarks for today's panel.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Moderator. So really very happy to conclude as a government official. So first of all, we have air policy right now in oil field places. We are providing for health skies for those who are now in oil fields, not to be harmed by the chemicals. So providing the hospital, clinic, we provide the special doctors. We are now experts in the chemicals, chemically specialized, so they are there now in the field. Also, we are now educating them. We have schools that are now operated. So we are educating them that when we educated the student, they must go and inform the community the way people behave in the oil field. So this is our work as a government in the oil fields. Again, coming to to our climate change, we have policy also, we are introducing that every household must plant 1 tree every year. Like now, we are almost to 2025. On that one, it was affect everyone to plant their own tree in their house because to reduce the heat. So, like now, people who have been cutting trees in the forest, we are now opposing to those who are now forestry department. So no one can cut a tree. If you cut tree, you must plant it too. This is the policy of government now. We introduce it, and I think my conclusion also. I'm very happy to hear from those who are not expert in different fields. So I'm happy that we have teams to work together, government plus different specialized team, to see the impact of that climate change in South Sudan or across the globe. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Deng, for the wonderful remarks. We've come to the end of today's panel discussion, and we are discussing mainly on the impacts of fuel or the impact of natural gas on the environment, human life, and also the surroundings we live in. As we know, we've heard from our different expertise on their own different fields. The fuel has a lot of impacts that it brings. We look at human life where children are born prematurely. We talk of the water that affects also the environment, pollution, all those. So to come to a solution to this, it doesn't need a one hand. It is a collective responsibility as we navigate to see that all this is, come together so that we look at a safer environment where we live. Up to this, I appreciate our panelists for their insights, for their time. We also appreciate the audience out there who have been with us from the beginning up to this time. And we say it is a collective responsibility. We need to work together to see that all this come to an end. Up to this, if you have questions that you feel that have not been addressed and you really need them to be addressed, you can also, if we do not have, because you're running out of time, you can also follow us, send us your questions, or you can also get to the people that you want, the expertise. You can also reach them to their offices so that you can, interact with them and get the questions to these answers as we get to a safer environment. Up to this time, thank you so much. I've been your moderator, Anagdut Malwal, and we look forward to also have you for the next discussions that we'll be having. Thank you so much.